Hello everyone, welcome back to You Decide. We're going to be talking about the biggest talking points in football, but ultimately you guys will decide. It's me against Flav again. Last week it was 1-1 and it was quite a heated affair, I thought. Alcott came out on top.
Again.
2-1.
I think just people like you more.
Could be it.
Could be.
Could be it. Doubt it. No, people like you, Flav. They do, they love you. Anyway, we've got loads to talk about and a lot of it's sort of Spurs related. So, and it's been, okay, we'll keep moving forward quickly. First one, Jermain Defoe, this is how it's going to work. We're going to ask the question, has he been unfairly neglected by England after scoring his 150th Premier League goal this weekend? We'll have 40 seconds each, then we'll have a little chat in between. When your 40 seconds are up, you'll hear this noise. Not quick enough, really. Adam, come on, stay on it. One job. Who's going to go first? Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, Flav's going to go first. 40 seconds on the clock. Here we go. Jermain Defoe, has he been unfairly neglected by England? Off you go.
Jermain Defoe hasn't been unfairly treated. He has been in great form, but I think actually just putting players in because they're in good form for their club isn't actually productive for an England team. You need players that are going to come in and understand the tactics of the manager. England get very few time to work with the players, and in that time they need to develop match tactics and understanding of playing with each other. Defoe isn't a long-term solution, and it's unfortunate because he's banging in the goals and I love him, but for the betterment of England, you just can't have him in there.
Okay. How many seconds was that?
37.
37. Nice. Right, here we go. Jermain Defoe is being neglected by England. He has scored so many goals this year, 18 in the calendar year. Only Harry Kane is ahead of him, and he makes it into the England squad. But the fact that he's 34 means that apparently that means he's not good enough. He's consistently scored goals, and he's consistently scored goals for a Sunderland team that is awful. Let's have it right. They are in the bottom three for a reason. And he kept them up last year. 15 goals last season. 7 goals in 12 this season in a team that's won 2 games the whole season. The fact that he's 34 means nothing. And I think also, if you're thinking of the betterment of England, that front line needs balance. And in terms of balance, he's a poacher you put on the last 20 minutes. He's also an experienced guy who would help the other strikers.
Why? Defoe's never really made it for England, really.
Has he ever really had do you know what I was amazed by? He's had 55 caps.
Has he?
This is a lot, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he hasn't been neglected that much.
Lot of subs.
A lot of subs, yeah. 19 goals.
I think he's been neglected. If the argument is that is he been neglected now, given the fact that he's scoring goals still, and it's unfortunate for him. And he's a good player, but he's never made it. And multiple managers haven't really made him his linchpin striker, and there's you can't pick him above Sturridge, Kane, and probably Vardy. Out of the lot, Vardy probably is the most replaceable.
I think it's very difficult for England because they have got a lot of good strikers. I think I said in the summer that I think I might have gone for him in the Euros. Certainly after the Euros, we struggled to break teams down, and we had the ball a lot. And someone like Vardy became a little bit redundant. I know you had to pick Vardy in that squad, but someone like Defoe he's a fox in the box. And he's proved it year after year after year. He is someone that, if he was 24, he'd be in the England squad.
Yeah, but he's not. He's 34.
So why does the age matter?
But do we need Jermain Defoe to qualify for the World Cup?
No.
Is he going to play in the World Cup? Would we take him? No.
You don't know.
We don't need him to qualify. We need to be planning and building a New England side, and that doesn't include.
How many times have we said that, though?
Well, that doesn't matter. That's not the question. The question is whether Jermain Defoe should go, and he's should be a part of this team. He's 34. There's no longevity to him being in that team. I love Jermain Defoe, but he can't. There's no room for him. It's a counterproductive move. You have to be thinking about how this team's going to function in the competition, and Defoe's not going to be in there.
Mike Bassett said it best.
If
you're old enough, you're good enough. And Jermain Defoe's definitely old enough.
If you're old enough, you're good enough.
And good enough.
Quite sure.
Like Benson Hedges. Go watch it, it's a good film. Right, there you go. Jermain Defoe, is he being neglected by England? A vote now for either Flav, who thinks that he's not, his time's been and gone, or vote for me, who thinks, actually, form is a period of time, class is permanent. He scored goals again and again and again. So vote for one of us right now.
So as Spurs crash out of the Champions League, we ask the question, do Spurs fans have a right to be angry at Mauricio Pochettino? You can go first.
Okay. in my opinion, I think Spurs. Normally, I don't like fans getting angry at their team, but on this occasion, I think Pochettino has let down the Spurs fans a little bit because his management of the squad hasn't been that great. The form this season, despite not letting defeats happen, they've only got 1 win and 8. And against Monaco, that was a dreadful performance. But throughout the Champions League, they've been dreadful. I think he's kind of shown either a bit of inexperience or a lack of nous. Maybe that's the same thing in the Champions League. And for the resources that a team like Spurs have got, to not get out of that group is very, very poor. And Spurs fans have been looking forward to being in the Champions League for a long, long time. And then they go out like that.
I think no. I mean, they kind of do. But ultimately, Pochettino's, the issue with Tottenham going out was made difficult by the fact that Pochettino was forced to play understrength teams because you have to prioritise the league because Spurs have no chance of winning the Champions League. The point of the Champions League is to get into it, not to win it, such is the nature of that competition, unfortunately. He's had injuries to deal with. We've had to play our home games at Wembley, which gives away an advantage. That has been disastrous. And, ultimately we've got a brilliant manager in Pochettino and let's just give him a little bit of leeway. See, this is fucking horrible.
I know, mate. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not like a Pochettino must go or anything like that. I think you're allowed. So if it's up to me, Spurs fans are allowed 4 days worth of anger.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's definitely been a disappointment, and he has to take a little bit of the blame for it, despite being a manager that everyone's excited about.
It's his job.
It's been poor.
It's his job to get out of that group stage. And he had the resources to do it regardless of whether injuries. That's true. I do think the rug has been pulled under him somewhat by having to play at Wembley, and that isn't anyone's fault. Our ground was downgraded, and meant we couldn't play our Champions League games there. So I had to.
Because you went to one of those games. How crucial is that? Because people go, oh, come on, get on with it. But the atmosphere obviously makes a difference.
I hated every minute that I was in there. The only decent thing was that I was looking at the team that I love. But by and large, a horrible experience. Absolutely nothing to do with Tottenham. And if I felt that way, it's just the impact it's going to have on Spurs players, I'd imagine, would be similar. You know, they're used to having they're playing at a level where every mistake is costly. So giving them every advantage in order to play in a way that they don't make mistakes, they're comfortable playing the ball. Being at Wembley removes those things, and Spurs fans have a right to be angry because we crashed out. We're out with a game to spare in a group that you thought we could get out of.
I guess to play devil's advocate though, you've got a really young team, and a lot of people are excited about that young team, right? So that means you're inevitably going to be inexperienced. Yeah. So it's just weird we've kind of swapped around.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
We've swapped around it, but. Is it okay? It'd be interesting to know what people think. Is it okay to be angry, or should you just be understanding of the fact that they're inexperienced?
Being a football fan, being angry at a result, isn't it? So we're both kind of agreeing with each other, but I think the hardest thing as a football fan is accepting disappointment and realising that's a part of it, and knowing and trusting the fact that Pochettino, when Alderweireld gets back, when Kane's back to full fitness, when Dembele can play 90 minutes, it will be a different Tottenham as we've seen, at times this season and most of last season. But it's whether, I think the real question is whether or not Spurs fans are going to be trust Pochettino to get this right again. I have absolute faith in Pochettino. I think he's the best manager we've had since Bill Nick.
Okay, so this is a tricky one, but it'd be interesting to know if, I guess, people who aren't Spurs fans, do you think it's okay to be angry at Pochettino for this? And Spurs fans, are you angry at Pochettino? Get your votes in and let us know in the comments below. It's 20 years this week since Ali Dye played for Southampton. If you don't know who he is, Google it. But ultimately, he pretended he was George Weah's cousin, and Graham Souness bought it, and he got about 20 minutes in a Premier League game. He is the most overrated player in Premier League history, obviously because he was horrific. But who is the most overrated player in the Premier League right now? Flav.
Yeah, I was going to go Laurent Koscielny. I think he's overrated. Arsenal fans think the world of him, think he's world class, but I've seen him get done over and over again. So I just wanted to get that out.
But you have decided to change your mind.
I've changed my mind. I'm going to go with Dele Alli. And So Dele Alli is he's a great player, a very great player. He's going to go on to do amazing things, but he's 20 years old, and the hype that's been placed upon him is a detrimental thing, especially as a Spurs fan, because we see him on a weekly basis and we know that he's great and he's done amazing things last season, but there are aspects to his game that need tons and tons of work. And the more hype he gets, the harder it's going to be for him to develop healthily. Think Ross Barkley.
Okay. I don't think Dele Alli is the most overrated player in the Premier League. I think David Luiz is the most overrated player in the Premier League. And I'm allowed to get through a theory that I've thought for a long time. David Luiz would not be playing at this level if it wasn't for his barnet, because it gets him noticed. This is my hair theory. And anyone who watched Social Club when I was talking about Chris Miles and how he's underrated, it's because he looks like a bald old man. He looks like a testicle. David Luiz looks like this. So, he's Brazilian as well. He ticks all those flamboyant boxes, which allows him to play for these big teams. 100 million in transfer fees. That's ridiculous. He is an absolute calamity. Chelsea, let's be honest, have had to change their whole system just to get him in the team because they spent so much money on him. He is a calamity, a liability.
That's the money.
What do you think about the hair theory?
I'm slightly with you there.
Thanks, mate.
Although Zidane had no hair, but then
But he had hair initially,
and
so he got him to a point.
His talent is undeniable as well. But I do think like a ponytail or something gives you a little bit more lenience. Anyway, Luiz, they haven't conceded a goal in 6 games, and Luiz has been in that.
Earlier in this exact same show, we were talking about the difference between form and class.
Right.
He's in a team that's in incredible form at the moment, and he's in a system that works for him very, very well at the moment.
Right.
But that doesn't forego the years of him being dross.
Chelsea are top of the league and haven't conceded a goal in 6 games.
I understand that, and I can see Craig getting angry behind the camera, but it doesn't change the fact that he is a very, very dodgy defender. Just because he's decent on the ball there and covered by 2 other guys, and N'Golo Kante, who's just about 4 players in one. He's safe there, and it allows him to do the things that he is good at. He is good at coming out of the ball. He is positive, but he is so overrated. 100 million in transfer fees.
I think that it's a bit unfair because Luiz is kind of. There have been moments of absolute lunacy on the pitch that he's done in the past, but it's not something you've seen this season.
If you're a fan of another team in the top 6, 7, for anyone in the Premier League, would you want him at your club?
I'll take him there.
You wouldn't take him. You wouldn't want him.
Because I just said I would.
You wouldn't.
What do you think about Dele Alli? And is he overrated?
I think he may be slightly overrated. Overrated is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it doesn't mean they're a bad player.
No, of course not. That's how people take it.
I'm not saying David Luiz is completely awful, but he's definitely overrated. The difference between what people think and the money that's been spent for him and what his talent is, that's why he's overrated. Dele Alli, I see moments where you think, I think that's what's making him a little bit overrated, is people are so excited about him. Yeah,
I mean, what's happened is they see that goal against Crystal Palace, and he's doing things that most players can't do or just don't have the balls to do. And then scoring goals, and he scored. I don't know how many goals he scored last season, but I think he got 10 or 11.
10 or 11, yeah.
Yeah, assists as well. All of that is good, but everybody kind of looks at that and think, all right, okay, well, he's a complete player right now. He needs to be allowed to develop, and the hype is put him in a situation where I'm going to say he's overrated. He needs to be left alone.
What's difficult for him is he's in that high pressure area of the pitch where your job is to create something.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing that, if you're not offering up those moments of magic, then you're failing a little bit. I think I love his movement. I think he's really, really smart. I think because he's in that low percentage areas when you've got the ball, sometimes his decision making isn't great yet, but I do think he's going to be really special from the few times that I've seen him play. It's confusing, but vote now. Do you think David Luiz is the most overrated player in the Premier League, or do you think Dele Alli is the most overrated player in the Premier League? If you've got any other people that you think might be in there as well, Koscielny, is he overrated? Let us know in the comments below. Fourth and finally, we're going to do a little Room 101 thing now.
I'm going to start that again now.
Last but not least, we're going to start a new thing for our last one each week, which is going to be like a brew. Have you done it again?
I was just laughing at myself.
Last but not least, we're going to do a new kind of...
Sorry, you go there.
Last but not least, we're going to do a new little segment called Room 101. So what's the most annoying thing that's happened in the week for you that needs to be banished from football?
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. 40 seconds on the clock. It's me. So there's a single person, but a lot of people do this. When there's a minute silence, which there was at Loftus Road at the weekend, there's generally is well-respected silence. But one bloke, well, a couple of people were sort of making their way into the ground, so they were sort of making noise, which was disrespectful, supposedly. But what do? You keep quiet and just do your bit. There was one bloke who decided to shout as loud as he could, "Show some fucking respect, you fucking cunt." That is so stupid. If you want the volume to go down when it's a minute silence, don't add more speech to it. And don't do the shh thing as well, because you're doing the exact same thing, which is annoying you. You're an idiot. Don't do it. You, whoever you are, go to Room 101. Or anyone who does the shh when it's a minute silence. I mean, why?
All right. Clappers at football should go in Room 101, shouldn't they? The saddest thing about this is that clubs should never get involved in creating atmosphere. It should always be organic. It should always come from the supporters. And it should never be given utensils or objects to make noise, props. And the clappers at Leicester and at Fulham are among the worst things. Only vuvuzelas are worse than clappers at football. And if your club can't create noise, if your fans can't create noise without the aid of a clapper, then just don't make noise. Be silent.
That's good. It's got time as well. So no. 40 now.
Clappers.
All right, so I guess we need to battle out which one's more annoying, because only one of them can go.
It's a bit hard for me to argue about people who disrupt minute silence and say, actually, no, keep people that disrupt minute silence and get rid of clappers. But I still think clappers should go.
I think that there's a very valid reason for putting clappers in. You might need to come back with that next week, because it's embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Leicester City fans, let us know, because actually it was a huge reason behind their great atmosphere last year. A lot of them say
was the clappers.
It was
It wasn't the championship winning football.
No, obviously that helps it, but I
think
the atmosphere was great there, and the clappers worked for them there, and they all love it.
Worked in what respect? Worked in making them look ridiculous.
From our point of view, yeah. But I guess it maybe is
football's point of view. I
Again,
think I'm winning.
yeah.
I think actually,
I think you've got a chance, mate.
I think people don't really mind about the minutes.
What I would agree with is that, I went to Fulham away, and there is never an atmosphere there. And I guess technically there was more of an atmosphere because you got these guys clapping a bit of paper.
Yeah.
But I looked at them and I thought, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. And what's more embarrassing is getting beat by a club with fans who love clappers. That's even worse, but there we go.
Okay.
But obviously do the respectful thing and vote for the minute silence.
Right, there you go. Room 101. Which one of those should be banished from football forever? The clappers or just people shushing on a minute silence? It just seems dumb to me. That's it for you to decide. Make sure you've voted on all of them, and it's 2-1 to me at the moment. So if you thought Flav argued better this week, then vote for Flav right now. Or if you thought I did better, then vote for me. More importantly, subscribe to Ball Street, because it's really good. Check out all our other content this week, and we'll be back next week for You Decide.
Yep. See you then.
I will. So, you'll be there.
See you, unfortunately.